Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Schlage part number L283 This is what's called the spring cage, a really common item on their mortise locks, and one in which you'll find you can't operate your lock really without it. You might be able to get a knob to work, but you're going to need a spring cage for any sort of lever trim, that's to be sure. This is simply what permits you to run the spindle through the spring cage into the hub, back into the trim, knob or lever, and to keep that lever horizontal, keep that knob in the proper position. These do fatigue. They do fail with time, with use. I've never really heard of an instance of them being defective. Maybe there was a run of them back in the 90s or early 2000s, but figment of my imagination possibly. Just to give you some idea of the dimensional properties, 1.539 in one dimension and 1.537 in the other dimension. Thickness of the spring cage, 0.259. 0.259. Your spindle is going to go right through that. Has a little bit of a bias to it, as you can see, or a preload, perhaps you might call it. Those springs need a little bit of business to get them going. You can see the direction of rotation is stamped on there. Okay. Now, there's a link below this video to a parts drawing. And the parts drawing is an excerpt of this entire service manual. And when you scroll through that document, looking at the L283 you're going to see a typical instance of where it's going to occur. And looking at that document, it's part Z, at least in the page I'm looking at. And that's indeed going to sit underneath the escutcheon or the rows, and to help keep that lever trim right up and straight is the bottom line. Not uncommon for people to buy these. If you have a lever that's sagging, which does happen, you know these are grade 1 locks. They're rated for 1 million cycles. These locks are operated millions of cycles. If you've got some trim that's sagging, I'd replace that spring cage because those springs will fatigue and fail. The point being is if you have a fire-rated door and your latch is not projecting the proper throw, you technically don't, you no longer have a fire door at all. If you're not sticking into the strike, if your latch throw is not what is on the label, minimum 1/2 inch latch throw, minimum 3/4 inch latch throw, you don't have a fire door because you're not engaged properly. Plus, also, you don't really have a safe door. You don't have a door that's fully latched, things of that nature. Just a maintenance thing. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Schlage products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. But again, that service manual is there, and it's literally called Service Manual. And I would review that document because it will allow you to see not only the spring cage, but all of the other possible replacement parts so that you can continue to get useful service out of the significant investment in lock sets. On that page are going to be some interesting details like other encyclopedic documents, and then some vintage Schlage catalogs as well that I continue to collect, scan, and then upload over time. Some neat stuff. Speaking of neat, if you were to do a trip through the internet and look for Walter Schlage patents, you're going to find that the company, of which is named after Walter Schlage, invented several types of piece of hardware that we literally take for granted today, that is in our daily lives. He invented it. The cylinder lock, meaning the cylinder is actually contained within the trim itself. That was an invention of Walter Schlage. If you have any questions on the Schlage L283 spring cage or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.